let's get started. This is going to be lesson 22. Yes, we're skipping lesson 21. Don't freak out. But we're going to be on lesson 22. Understand estimating length. It's going to be on page 216, 216. We're going to first talk about this word estimating. So when you estimate something, it's not an exact thing. So it's not like, tell me how many inches your pinky is. That's telling you the exact inches. Estimating is, say you don't have a ruler, but you know how long something is about. That's estimating. It's kind of like a guess. Estimating is kind of like guessing based off of your schema, your knowledge, what you already know. So let's think it through. What does it mean to estimate? Sometimes you do not need an exact measurement. You can use the math you know to make an estimate. So you're using the math you already know to make like a guess. Estimate is a fancy word for guess. Here are some items you can use to make sto It has the tip of your finger, so like your nail part. It says about 1 centimeter, okay? The length of, so about the width of your fingernail. So that's this part of your fingernail. 1 inch quarter, about the width of a quarter. So like down here, quarter. Then you have bread, 1 foot. And we'll talk about this in a small group. 1 foot is the same as 1 whole ruler. So the length of 1 whole ruler is a foot. About the length of a loaf of bread. Okay, we've all seen a loaf of bread. 1 meter or 1 yard. If you've seen a yardstick, we have them in our room. It's about the width of a door. So this way on a door, not up and down, left to right. Think. Use what you know about units to estimate length. Ty wants to estimate the length of his toy car. That's over here. He thinks about 2 quarters would fit under his car. And we know the quarter is what? 1 inch. About 1 inch. So he has the model right here. Is the length of the toy car longer or shorter than 2 quarters? Well, let's look at it. And remember, we measure things from end to end. So you have to make sure you're at the end of the car and the end of the quarter. So here's the end of the car. Okay? Do not forget to go end to end. It is very important to always go end to end. So the question is the length of the car, so left to right, longer or shorter than 2 quarters? Well, here's the end of the car. I was off just a smidge here. So is it longer or shorter than 2 quarters? Well, obviously, if we drew our lines, it's obviously shorter because here's all the extra. So here's the word shorter, and we're going to put it in here. It's shorter. What do you think is a good estimate for the length of Ty's car in inches? Do not forget that, guys. A lot of you did. You cannot forget if you're measuring in centimeters, inches, feet, yards, meters, whatever it is, you have to make sure you're doing that correctly. So it said inches, because what they say was the estimated length of a quarter. 1 inch. So you have to be measuring in inches because that's what you're using. So what's a good estimate? An estimate is a guess. So you know this is at least 1 inch. But it didn't take this full other quarter, so it's not necessarily 1 inch. So the best estimate, the best guess that we are allowed to give is probably, it's a little bit, not bit, but it's a little less than what? It's a little less than 2 quarters, because that's not a lot that's over, but it's still not enough to be 2 quarters. So a little less than 2, because that was an inch and this is an inch, so it's a less than what? And it asks us, you can't say quarters. What is it asking you to measure in? Inches. So it's a little less than 2 inches. You know labeling is important, and this is a full sentence, so we need a period. And I started with a capital. Okay? So, think. Use measurements you already know to estimate length. Estimate, fancy word for guess, using what you already know. Use your schema to help you measure. Julia wants to estimate the length of her pencil box. She knows a marker is about 14 centimeters long. So she's saying this marker is, I'm going to put it on here, 14 centimeters, so I don't forget. It's right here as well, but she said the marker, she estimates the length of her pencil box using a marker, which is about 14 centimeters. Julia thinks about how a marker would look next to her pencil box, okay? And she's got it lined up right, but here's the end of our marker right here. Because it's end to end. Which best describes the length of the pencil box? Select 2. You guys do this all the time. You've got to read your directions. How many are we going to select? 2. Select 2 answers. So we have less than 14 centimeters, less than 28 centimeters, more than 14 centimeters, or more than 28 centimeters. Okay. Well, first we can get rid of one of them automatically. The only differences in all of these is more and less. So here's the marker, here's the pencil box. Is it more than a marker or less than a marker? Obviously, the pencil box is longer. So less than 14, because the whole marker is 14 centimeters. Less than 14 is not right. So this is not correct. Get this out of here. So obviously, it's more than 14 centimeters. So this is one of our answers. But now we have 28 centimeters. Where are they getting that? Well, let me explain it. Usually when you have questions like this, it's probably adding more markers. So if one marker is 14 centimeters, how many would 2 markers be? Well, you would have to add the length twice. So here's 1 marker and 2 markers. We know how to add. 4 plus 4 is 8. 1 plus 1 is 2. So it's talking about 2 markers. So do you think this pencil box would be less than 28 centimeters? So would it be less than 2 markers, or would it be more than 2 markers? Well, let's look. Just looking at it, you could probably tell, like me, that it's not going to be 2 full markers. Because if it was going to be 2 full markers, it probably would have been split in half. So it's not going to be it's not going to be more. It's not going to be more than 2 markers. It's probably going to be less than 2 markers. Probably a marker and a little bit. So there's your 2 answers. It's going to be more than 14 centimeters. But less than 28, because it's going to be less than 2 full markers. Just like over here, this was less than 2 full inches because it could not use the whole other quarter. Same deal here. So reflect. Work with a partner. You don't have to work with a partner. I'll let you, if you want to pause and talk this problem through, or listen and work it through with me. Hannah estimates that Julia's pencil box is 30 centimeters long. Is this a good estimate? Explain why or why not. They're wanting to know if this, what we just did, is this pencil box 30 centimeters long? Is it going to be 30 centimeters long? We know at least from here to here is 14 centimeters long. So is the rest of this going to add up to 30 centimeters? Well, let's look at what we do know. We know that 1 marker is 14 centimeters. Okay, we have that up here. So to get to 30, we're going to have to add more markers. So we know that 2 markers equals 28 centimeters. So that's a whole other marker here. That's only 28 centimeters. We need to, Hannah's estimating 30. Is that going to be 30 centimeters long? Is that going to be more than 2 markers long? No way. It is not, because that's the question. Is it a good estimate? No. Let's answer that right now. No, it is not a good estimate. And guys, I took that right. I said no and just used the question. Again, we've done this. So no, it is not a good estimate. That answered this question, but it says right here, explain. Explain why it's not a good estimate. Well, we literally just talked about it. Because what do we do? What do we know? We know that you should be able to write this, but I will write it with you. So 30 centimeters, and I'm going to abbreviate using cm, 30 centimeters would be more than 2 markers long. And the pencil box is less than that. There we go.